I mean, if it's a bad guy, he's a bad guy. If he's a sleazeball, he's a sleazeball. If he's a good guy, he's a good guy.
I've always been pretty good at it. And of course, it doesn't matter what it is that you do. If you continue to do it, you're going to get better at it.
For decades, Morgan Freeman has been the voice of wisdom, an actor who turns silence into gravity and stillness into power. But behind that calm cadence lies a man of conviction, a performer who never confused charm with tolerance.
He understood that if I will have Morgan as Ilderim, the whole movie will have a sense.
Across 60 years of cinema, Freeman's path has crossed legends, icons, and disruptors. He rarely raises his voice. He rarely names names. But when he does, it means something. Behind every story of grace, there is a shadow. People who broke trust, blurred ethics, or simply disrespected the craft. Here are the 5 celebrities Morgan Freeman could never forgive, and the moments that tested his quiet dignity. Number 1. Kevin Spacey. On screen, their partnership in Seven looked effortless, 2 forces locked in moral tension. But behind the scenes, Morgan Freeman found Kevin Spacey's ambition unsettling. Freeman valued discipline, empathy, and craft. Spacey's intensity, though magnetic, carried a sharp edge. What began as admiration soon turned to quiet disapproval, a clash between integrity and indulgence. When Seven began production, Freeman had already earned a reputation as Hollywood's moral center, an actor whose stillness could speak louder than dialogue. He believed that silence was sacred, that truth lived in the pauses. Spacey was the opposite. He thrived on control, using unpredictability as power.
We're even trying to trace his furniture. About the only thing we know about that guy right now is he's independently wealthy.
That duality made the film electric, but offset, it created distance. Crew members noticed it early. Spacey's process was clinical. He kept himself detached, often refusing casual conversation or rehearsal with his co-stars. Freeman, whose performances depended on rhythm and trust, sensed danger in that isolation. After one tense day on set, he remarked to a friend, "Acting only works when you share the air." It was the gentlest rebuke possible from a man who rarely criticized others, yet those words revealed his boundary. Art could not exist without respect. Despite the tension, Seven became a masterpiece. Fincher's meticulous direction amplified both actors' strengths, Freeman's quiet order and Spacey's unsettling chaos. But when the cameras stopped, the connection dissolved. Freeman would later say nothing publicly about Spacey, though his restraint spoke volumes. He kept his distance, even in interviews where Spacey's name surfaced. Years later, when the scandals surrounding Spacey broke, Freeman's silence resurfaced in the public eye, not as avoidance, but as foresight. For him, character was never a mask, it was the foundation of art. And he had seen cracks in that foundation long before others dared to look. "Brilliance without humanity always burns out," Freeman once said, reflecting on the nature of fame. He never repeated that lesson, it was already written in the way he moved on. Number 2. Jim Carrey. When Morgan Freeman stepped onto the set of Bruce Almighty, he entered a different world. Jim Carrey's explosive spontaneity collided with Freeman's measured grace. Their chemistry worked for the story but tested his patience. Freeman saw genius in Carrey, but also chaos, a reminder that not every storm, no matter how bright, belongs in the same sky. The film was a studio comedy, but Freeman treated it like a parable. Playing God required precision, a calm that drew strength from silence. Every gesture had weight, every pause intention. Carrey, on the other hand, thrived in unpredictability. His energy filled every corner of the set, bouncing off cameras, extras, and even lines that were not his.
Really something, isn't it?
Is this heaven?
The contrast was lightning in a bottle. Reverence meeting rebellion. Crew members later said Freeman rarely broke character, maintaining his tranquil tone between takes. Carrey, meanwhile, improvised endlessly, chasing the perfect laugh. Sometimes it landed, sometimes it drowned the room in noise. Freeman's patience, so famously unshakable, was tested in those moments. During one particularly long day, he turned to a nearby producer and said softly, comedy only works when chaos knows where to stop. It was not a rebuke, it was philosophy. Freeman was not judging Carrey's talent, he was protecting the rhythm that made it shine. Still, their opposing energies created cinematic magic.
Let me see a little rat. Smite me! Oh, mighty smiter!
Audiences adored their chemistry, yet few realized the balance it demanded. Freeman later admitted he respected Carrey's spirit, but found the process draining. To him, the best art came from stillness, not speed. Years later, when asked about their collaboration, Freeman smiled and said, "Energy is only brilliance when it listens." It was an acknowledgement and a boundary all at once. He valued freedom, but not at the expense of focus. Because for Morgan Freeman, divinity was never loud. It was the quiet voice that kept the storm from swallowing the sky. Number 3. Michael Caine. Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine once embodied mutual respect, two masters bound by craft and friendship. Yet as time passed, admiration gave way to distance. Freeman watched Caine grow increasingly dismissive of younger actors, a tone that clashed with his own quiet humility. Their bond remained intact, but its warmth cooled beneath the weight of pride. Their friendship was forged in excellence. On sets like the Dark Knight trilogy and Now You See Me, they shared rhythm and restraint. Two veterans fluent in the art of presence.
Concept and applied it to every phone in the city. With half the city feeding you sonar, you can image all of Gotham.
Their performances flowed like dialogue from the same school of thought. Less noise, more truth. Off camera, both men were models of discipline, punctuality, and respect. For years they stood as proof that collaboration could exist without ego. But time changes tone. Caine began to speak more openly about what he saw as the decline of craft, calling younger actors unfocused and unprepared. Freeman, who believed in nurturing rather than judging, took quiet issue. He had built his career on generosity, helping new talent find confidence instead of critique. During one reflective exchange on set, Freeman remarked, "Respect is the only currency that never loses value." Those who heard it knew it was not just a line, it was a quiet reminder to the room. The shift was not hostile, just sad.
It's what keeps you from seeing that. Whatever this grand trick is, it was designed a long time ago.
During interviews, Freeman praised the ensemble spirit, while Caine focused on tradition and legacy. They were still allies, yet no longer in sync. Freeman's warmth endured, but it was tempered by wisdom, an understanding that admiration does not always survive evolution. Years later, when asked about long friendships, Freeman said, "Pride is a fine suit. It looks good until it stops you from reaching out." It was a confession hidden in grace, spoken by a man who believed that respect must keep growing, or it dies quietly in the past. For Freeman, friendship was a mirror of the soul, and even legends must learn when reflections change. Number 4. Gene Hackman. During the filming of Unforgiven, Morgan Freeman confronted a kind of energy he distrusted, Gene Hackman's relentless aggression. Both men sought truth, but Hackman's pursuit was combative, where Freeman's was contemplative. Tension simmered between takes. For Freeman, artistry demanded respect. Hackman's fire, though brilliant, burned too close to cruelty to ever feel like collaboration. The set of Unforgiven was quiet but charged. Clint Eastwood, directing with his usual calm, relied on silence more than speech. That calm suited Freeman perfectly, but Hackman worked differently. His performances were fueled by confrontation, intensity, and raw power.
Henry Tate, out of Cheyenne. Hell if I did. Hell if I did.
The result was cinematic electricity, but behind that tension was something real. Crew members noticed the difference in temperament immediately. Freeman, steady and deliberate, focused on stillness. Hackman erupted like a storm, demanding emotional submission from everyone in his orbit. For some, it was exhilarating. For Freeman, it was chaos disguised as genius. On set, he rarely argued, but instead withdrew when Hackman's temper flared. During one lunch break, he quietly told an assistant, "Control isn't the enemy of passion, it's the proof of it." That single sentence revealed his philosophy: power in restraint, not rage. Still, both men delivered performances that defined the film's moral gravity. Freeman's quiet dignity anchored Hackman's volatility. Their contrast became the story itself, order confronting fury. But that professional success did not erase the discomfort. Freeman later said he admired Hackman's brilliance, yet would never seek his company again. There was too much danger in that kind of genius. Years later, reflecting on his career, Freeman spoke of those who mistake intimidation for authority. Great actors don't break others to find the truth, he said. They invite them into it. It was a lesson learned the hard way, etched into memory on a dusty Western set. For Morgan Freeman, Unforgiven was not just a film about violence and justice. It was a lesson in the difference between power and control, and the quiet strength that chooses peace over domination. Number 5. Shia LaBeouf. Morgan Freeman met Shia LaBeouf at a crossroads of generations, one grounded in tradition, the other in defiance. Freeman saw in the young actor a reflection of Hollywood's shifting values: brilliance without boundaries. Their brief encounters revealed more than words could: how respect, once the foundation of artistry, had become something too many treated as optional. Their paths crossed during the early 2000 press circuit for The Sum of All Fears. Freeman was promoting a legacy of dignity and consistency. LaBeouf was the rising rebel, young, outspoken, and already clashing with the industry that made him.
Yeah, I've been lied to my whole life. You always hear these people who are all cynical, like, oh man, once you get married, everything changes, but for the better, though.
For the better. So you're an advocate now.
The contrast between them was striking. Wisdom meeting restlessness. Freeman admired confidence, but he distrusted carelessness. In LaBeouf, he saw both potential and danger, the energy of a performer who could captivate audiences yet undermine himself in the same breath. To Freeman, discipline was art's truest backbone. LaBeouf, though talented, seemed to chase authenticity through chaos. Their brief professional encounters left Freeman uneasy. After one backstage exchange, he reportedly turned to a colleague and said, "Talent without respect is a fire with no fireplace." It was not anger, it was concern from a man who had built a lifetime on restraint. Hollywood adored LaBeouf's unpredictability, the same way it once adored rebellion in others. But Freeman had seen what fame without foundation could do.
Once you've cast a part, that's it, you're out of that part of it.
He had watched generations of performers mistake noise for depth, mistaking self-destruction for honesty. LaBeouf's rawness fascinated him, yet reminded him of what the craft was losing, a sense of reverence for those who came before. Years later, when Freeman was asked about the new generation of actors, his answer was gentle but weighted. "Discipline is the bridge between talent and respect," he said. It was not a critique, it was a plea. For him, artistry without humility was not rebellion, it was erosion. Because for Morgan Freeman, legacy was never built in the spotlight, it was built in the silence after the applause, where character stands longer than fame ever can. Hollywood thrives on spectacle, bright lights, loud names, endless noise. But for Morgan Freeman, legacy has never been about who shouts the longest. It is about who carries silence with purpose. Across his career, he has faced brilliance, chaos, and arrogance. Yet he has never lost the steady rhythm that defines him: grace under pressure, truth over ego. In a world addicted to attention, Freeman reminds us that dignity still has power, that restraint can speak louder than rage. His story is not just about the people he avoided, it is about the man he refused to stop being. Because in the end, respect is not a headline or a quote. It is a life quietly lived the right way, long after the cameras stop rolling. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more cinematic explorations into Hollywood's untold truths.